Well, there appears to be a giant shit show going on down at the Terry Sanford Federal Courthouse in Raleigh, North Carolina. Now, the reason I'm calling it a shit show is for the past 50 years, they've dumped all their sewage into the creek out behind the federal courthouse. I'm sorry. Yeah, and not into the rich white neighborhood. They don't dump sewage in the rich white neighborhoods in America. It's always the poor working class Asians, the poor working class, the Italians, and the poor working class Polish, and let's see, the poor working class Mexicans, and the Asians, and all the black people, and then of course the trailer trash, the white trash, where they live. They dump the sewage over there because they don't want to dump it in the judges' neighborhoods, or where like the FBI agents live. Now folks, to be more serious, we're living in an age of deadly viruses. And so because of the national emergency and the pandemic, and the fact I've been in the Sanford Federal Courthouse litigating matters of massive amounts of sewage and chemicals and industrial waste since 2012. 8 years. I started litigating sewage 8 years ago at the Terry Sanford Federal Courthouse. All the while, the judges are denying me my motions. All the judges and the court clerks and everybody that works at the Terry Sanford Federal Courthouse are shitting in the creek. So I've kind of pointed out that conflict of interest to the state of North Carolina, who are now doing a full criminal investigation of what the hell those federal judges are doing shitting in the creek. Oh my God. Now, it doesn't get, you can't make this stuff up. Ladies and gentlemen, the largest newspaper in the state, the News Observer there in Raleigh, is backing me up, along with the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality, the Environmental Protection Agency, and apparently the General Services Administration have all admitted that there's a big shit show going on at the Terry Sanford Federal Courthouse, just like I'm telling everybody, with all those judges and the conflicts of interest and everything. So, the problem is that this scenario is going on all over the state of North Carolina, from the Atlantic Ocean to Tennessee. North Carolina's got a huge sewage problem during this national emergency and pandemic, along with New York and New York City and Albany and Detroit and Chicago and Toronto and Montreal and Philadelphia and Washington, D.C. and New Orleans is horrible. San Francisco's horrible. Los Angeles is a big mess. Boston, Atlanta, all over the country, from Charlotte to Chicago. There's a big shit show going on all over America. And then it really gets interesting because this massive sewage problem is all over the world. During this age of deadly viruses on planet Earth, there's some global warming and a lot more rain. Everybody's noticing there's more rain. And then, of course, you got all these viruses from the pandemic level shit show that humanity is playing out all over the world, especially in Wuhan, China. Wuhan, China's got a shit show going on too. So folks, look it all up. You can do a little research on sewage overflow crisis USA and sewage overflow crisis North Carolina. That'll get you started. And I highly recommend you become a very well-educated shit show expert, and then you can address what it is exactly that's spreading all these viruses all over humanity. Folks, I'm going to leave it right there. And broadcasting from Landing Base 1, this is Judson Witham, the one and only, signing out. And as always, hasta la vista, God bless. You betcha. We're coming back from the broadcast studio.